Good morning, everyone. Time almost got away with me, so that's why we're just a few minutes late. All right, so we last week we looked at small business startups. I don't think we finished it. I don't think we finished the lecture, did we? Let me see. No, we didn't. So right, we had stopped at comparing, looking at right. We had stopped at slide number 20 that spoke about debt financing versus equity financing. So let's do a quick review of what we did last week, okay? And I'll be asking if you all answer the questions quickly, we will get through the review much faster, right? Um, right. We spoke about the 5 types of small business owners: the idealist, the optimizers, the hard workers, the jugglers, the sustainers, and what each of these categories of small business owners, what are their desires, their characteristics for each of them. We discussed why the entrepreneurship and the environment. Again, the pest analysis. We looked at some reasons why small business exists today. Small business would have existed decades before, and small business is always going to have a role in the future. And I remember explaining, and although you may have large companies providing similar services to the small business will always be relevant because it may have a smaller operating cost and it may be able to provide services that the large corporation cannot. We went on to talk on slide number 10 about the definition of small business based on comparing small, micro, medium, and large enterprise, comparing it to the number of employees, the amount of assets owned by the business, and the amount of revenue generated by the business. Um, they are actually based on this slide, and from a community pharmacy perspective, depending on your location, depending on your size, um, some places can actually reach the medium enterprise, which is having 26 to 50 employees, and that would be an example of if you have a small if you own one company owns and operates perhaps three or four community pharmacies or small businesses, they can reach that medium enterprise amount with employees as well as with revenue. Right, we looked at the different small business definitions based on the different industries. Look at manufacturing, retail, and miscellaneous. We spoke extensively about the diversity of entrepreneurs. And what did we say about entrepreneurs? What did we say about diversity of entrepreneurs? What particular background entrepreneurs have? Can someone tell me? Entrepreneurs usually have a particular background. Is that true or false? And if it is true, what type of background do they have? Are they male? Are they female? Are they young? Are they old? Tell me, guys. Do entrepreneurs come from a particular group? Is the chat working? Immigrants. Jahil is saying immigrants. Shakila is saying immigrants. Precious is saying immigrants. Anybody else? So you all are saying that entrepreneurs usually are immigrants, or majority of the time they are immigrants. Alicia, you've got it correct. Alicia is saying entrepreneurs can be anyone. So whilst Shakib, Katrina is saying it varies, they come from many different diversities. Kavita is saying they could be anything, firstborns, minority groups, anybody, yes. So Jahil, Shakila, Precious, yes, you would see immigrants are usually because they have nothing to lose. They are already in a country and they are already part of the marginalized group. As Jahil said yesterday, necessity is the mother of all invention. And another quotation that's very similar in that um, adversity is a fertile ground for. Hey, Biana is in this class as well. All right, hi Biana. Um, there's also another saying. Um, yes, Biana, you're calling out everybody and saying false. Okay, all right. Yes, it can be anybody from any socioeconomic class. Um, so as I was saying, that adversity is a fertile ground for innovation. Adversity is a fertile ground for um, creating. All right, and we are not going to use a low socioeconomic example. I'm going to use the example of Dubai. And Dubai has been able to transform their deserts into tourist attractions. We all know of the palms of Dubai. Palms of Dubai. Dubai has, believe it or not, an indoor ski facility in a desert. Right? And that's because they are in a position where we might want to call it adverse conditions, but they simply do have land that can produce crops, for example, and they live in an adverse environment, being a desert. However, they were able to utilize their energy resources and energy income in transforming their country into a high-end tourist state. Now, similarly, we can look at immigrants right here in Trinidad and Tobago, and we have the Venezuelans, the we have the Syrians, we have Indians, we have Bangladeshis, um, and you would see we have some of those some of the African continent as well, and then of course we have the Chinese. So all of these are different ethnic groups that are in our country as a result of being an immigrant, and they are actually all of these groups that I just called. They all find themselves somehow involved in some sort of entrepreneurship, in some sort of business type activity. And the point that Jahil and Shakila and Precious, would have been alluding to is that yes, these guys are immigrants, and I'm saying that because they are already in a very tough economic position, they are willing to do anything, and that's something that entrepreneurs, no matter if it is you are coming to the table with zero money, or you're coming into the table with $10 million, that one thing remains the same, which is that drive. And you'll see on the next slide we talk about internal locus of control, where you take full responsibility and full control of what happens to you. All right? So, take home message, entrepreneurs can be anyone. Yes, we might see some of them coming from a particular background, like, generally speaking, but it does not exclude other persons. So, Biana was correct. It can be any from any socioeconomic class. Kavita P was correct. It can be anybody. It can be firstborn children. It can be the last kid in the family. It could be an orphan. It can be anyone. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. Entrepreneurship is a behavior. It comes from is a type of behavior. All right. So let's say you as well. Very correct. And Shakila, Jahila, and Precious, yes, we'll accept those answers as well, but it's not completely, um, it's not complete. Right. So, and you saw on slide number 13 that there were women-owned businesses um, in 2005. And from our class yesterday, when you look at the old workplace versus the new workplace, the old workplace was male dominated and male oriented. The new workplace has more gender balance, a lot more gender balance, and even more so now, the new workplace has more minority balance, or more group. We call it, we're using the word minority, but it's really groups, different groups of people. All right. And then we look at the characteristics of an entrepreneur, and I remember spending a lot of time on this so that you all can get the point that entrepreneurship is a character, it's not a circumstance. As a result of a circumstance, and entrepreneurship is you being able to take full control of your life. Entrepreneurship is having a high amount of energy to want to achieve self-confidence. I remember saying that although you might be an introvert, although you might be a quiet, shy person, that does not mean that you lack confidence. Sometimes it's mistaken that quiet people are not confident people. Usually, yes, there is an association, but that's not always the case. And I'm saying that for those of us in class who might be shy and introvert, there is hope. There is possibility that you can become an entrepreneur as well by being confident in your abilities and being confident in your approach, especially if you have done the right amount of research, especially if you have done the correct analysis, if you've read enough, if it is that you have a good game plan on. We need to achieve awareness of passing time and tolerance to ambiguity. We discussed all of those. And internal locus of control versus external locus of control. You, I urge all of you to have an internal locus of control, not just for entrepreneurship, but for life generally. You would want to always try to take responsibility for yourself. It's very opposite of being, and this and this is, going a little off the lecture. Sometimes they categorize people as leaders and as victims. And I want us as students and as students of life as well to transition ourselves from being victims and think that everything around us is causing us problems, which might have truth to it, and transition from being a victim to being a leader and to being a self leader, to accept responsibility for what goes on with you and to take the necessary decisions that would be for your benefit. You take those decisions. You decide to do something. You decide to close up shop and try somewhere else. You decide to leave a relationship. You decide um, to actively improve on some quality or something that you wanted to improve on. All right. So external locus of control is when you believe that the future is not in your control and is in the control of external forces. Now, it might seem a bit, it might, your brain might be challenged and say, well, so, well, what about the pest analysis? What about organizations and the effect of the environment on organizations and you as an individual? I'm saying yes, that the environment does have effects on you as a person, does have effects on your organization, but having an internal locus of control means that, notwithstanding all of these external events, you are still able to take charge of your life wherever you can take charge. I'm sure you all know the saying, grant me the serenity to accept the things that cannot change and the courage to change the things that can. Good. So that's where you have to apply your critical thinking and your critical thinking in particular to analyze and recognize there are some things that you can change and some things that you cannot change. All right? Good so far? We went on to talk about the hours worked per day by new business owners, and I'm reminding everyone, even if you're granted because your parents may have passed on some wealth to you, although that has happened, it does not mean that you're now going to sit back in a high chair and just move from being a student straight into being an executive. Doesn't operate like that. You have to be trained. If it's from your parents, they need to train you. If it's your parents are shareholders and they have an executive, that executive would need to train you. If you're starting from ground zero, you need to train yourself, and you're going to have to spend the time and the effort in ensuring that the business is built. It's no longer going to be a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 as you may be accustomed to in your corporate job. It may be a 7 to 7. It may be a 7 to 9 in the night for weeks, for months, whilst you build your brand. All right? Good. And we looked at sources of entrepreneurial motivation, the reasons for starting a business on the left, and the source of new business ideas on the right. We talk about having in-depth knowledge of the profession. And the easiest example for this is you are a pharmacist, you graduate, you work as an intern, and then you get a stable job if you can. And you learn and you grow and you develop yourself, and then you can move on to doing things on your own. And that's generally the story of all the community pharmacies in Trinidad and Tobago and all over the world, where they learn and they grow. A few of them would have inherited, but most of them would learn, grow, and create on their own. All right. Um, Don't discount market and market niche spotted or niche, however you want to call it. That's actually a very good one as well because um, when you see a service that is not being offered, when you see a product that is not being offered, and you can tap into that, that's usually usually if it is you do your analysis properly and you take a risk, it can pay out good dividends, especially if it's a good call. So don't discount that at all. Um, and also on your left hand side, being downsized and laid off can be a blessing in disguise. Um, Wanting to be your own boss, to control your own future, all of those are common reasons why people start small business. All right, and we spoke a little bit about the business plan being very clear, having financial projections, talking about where you plan to get your money from, SWOT analysis of your risks. Um, I'll put in this term right now one time. SWOT analysis. Can anyone tell me what a SWOT analysis is? Biana, I remember you from my last class. So can you help us? Um, Precious, you as well. I remember you from my last class. So tell us what a SWOT analysis is. Even though we may not have been in community, I would have surely mentioned SWOT analysis in farm admin or in institutional. So help out your classmates. What is a SWOT analysis? What does SWOT mean? Diana, Precious, Katrina. Katrina, were you in my last class as well? I think you were. Yes. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Kavita R. Correct. All correct. Very good. Diana, you missed out. Shakila, Precious, Shahil. Right. So strengths and weaknesses. We'll get into that later on, but just generally, I'm saying now, strengths, weaknesses usually deal with internal, what's going on with your organization, and opportunities and threats are usually external, what's in the external environment and how it can affect your organization. All right, good. We spoke about sole proprietorship, and I think I remember clearly asking all of you to consider registering yourself as a sole trader so that you can now manage your own taxes. When you go and apply for a job, you can you can let them know that you're registered as a company and you would prefer to be paid as a company so that you can manage your own taxes if such jobs allow it, because the money is not going to be kept by the employer in the first place. They're taking out that tax from your salary to pay to the government, so you might as well arrange that for yourself. We spoke about partnerships being unincorporated businesses, and I remember mentioning that partnerships aren't really much of a good option, as there will be few instances where partnerships can work. And the last, most common one is a corporation or a limited liability company, being an artificial entity that is registered by law, that operates almost independent, well, not almost, it operates and is liable independently of its shareholders. The whole purpose of limited liability company means that the company has liability alone, not its shareholders, not its employees. So, should there be any type of litigation, should there be any type of accountability, the accountability rests with the corporation. All right, and then we went on to talk extensively about debt financing versus equity financing. I remember someone asking if you have been given um, money, not a loan, but you've inherited money. What's that called? And I said that that's called startup capital. The person doesn't want any um, shares or investment in the company. They are simply giving you money. I told you all to be careful of it. Um, perhaps have these things in writings, and it's called investment capital. It's not debt financing, neither is it equity financing. But debt financing is from the bank. Equity financing is persons investing for exchange of ownership of the company. And I encourage you all. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I encourage you all to look at the show. It's called Shark Tank. Everyone knows what Shark Tank is? Who is your favorite character on Shark Tank? If for those of you who are familiar with it, tell me who is your favorite character on Shark Tank. Nobody's familiar with Shark Tank? Shark Tank, anyone? Caleb, you like Mark Cuban? Really? Mark Cuban always shies away from most deals, and he always, if you well, from the episodes that I've looked at, and I've looked at quite a few, he's very, very rare in in coming forward with a deal. Anybody else? Anybody else looked at Shark Tank? You all are probably busy googling right now. Shark Tank. What is that? Shark Tank. Okay. You like Robert? Alright, Robert Huggs, Vec or whatever it is. Alright, Shakilesh, you should give it a look. It's not reality. Is that reality TV? Kavita P, what do you call that reality TV really? Maybe my idea of reality TV is those mindless shows like the um hip hop and love, and it is okay. That's okay. All right. I didn't know. I actually thought it was um, um, more like a documentary type of learning thing. That's the purpose. It wasn't meant to be dramatic, but of course we know these American television stations. They love to bring drama. We all know what they do with um, um, American Idol and all of these sad stories. So yes. All right, good. So guys, take a look at it. You would see how it is, and you would see. I know I mentioned this already. I'll throw it out again. Well, I mentioned it. I mentioned it for sure in summer class. The elevator speech. Where are we in this lecture? Right. The elevator speech, guys. The elevator speech is that speech which you are going to be giving to a potential investor in the elevator for maybe 2 or 3 floors, which is sometimes no more than a minute. And you have 1 minute to tell this investor your ideas, your plans, and possible outcomes. So, elevator speech is something that, as entrepreneurs, you need to be able to do. You need to be able um, to sell your idea and convince persons, because you need to be the biggest champion of your idea. All right. When you're doing an elevator speech, it's all the analysis has been done. You are confident and you are sure your plan is going to work. So, an elevator speech, don't get that confused at all with seeking information from an investor. And an elevator speech is one where you have all the information ready, it's already condensed, and you can blab it out easily. The person listening can analyze quickly and give you an answer. So take note of that elevator speech, and I want you all to to be able to do elevator speeches when you are ready for your entrepreneurship activity. All right, so just reviewing for last week. Any questions from last week? Any questions from last week, guys, before we move on? Can you go over pest analysis? Sure, Precious. We will actually be doing pest analysis in all three courses, but essentially, pest is P, political. Political means the political environment, the government that is in um, administration, their policies, um, essentially their policies. So you'd have different political parties have different policies that um, with respect to business, with respect to taxation, with respect to um, incentives, all of those things that affect business, right? And in some countries as well, political would also mean there is a religious or there is another fundamental principle that underpins the operation of a business. I think we spoke about it yesterday, where in some countries, because of their religious beliefs and because of their traditions, you may not be, that is something that's going to affect your business. But generally speaking, political is about taxation, incentives, um, sometimes the type of business you are allowed to have. There are some countries that if you're not a citizen, and think including our country, if you're not a citizen, you can't be the sole owner of a business. So therefore, you have to partner with, or you have to join with, um, um, or you have to have other local persons as part of your board to be registered as a company in certain countries. So I hope you understand the P. The E is economic, right? Economic simply means the economic parameters that exist in your country. Is your country going through um, a recession? Is your country going through an economic boom? Is your country under the hands of IMF? Is your country, does your country, what type of spending power does your country have? What's the GDP, your gross domestic product? Is your economy driven by energy? Is it driven by agriculture? Is it driven by tourism? Is it driven by um, technology, Silicon Valley type technology? So that's economic, right? Um, Again, please remember, economy is about supply and demand. Economy is about supply and demand. Don't forget that. No matter what we are speaking about, once there is a cost attached to it, you're looking at the supply of that service or product and the demands for that service or product. All right? That's how economics work. And I think Dr. Maraj will be doing uh, pharmacoeconomics with you also. Hopefully, you get a better understanding of economics. Right? S is for social. So social is the norms and culture that exist in the country. As you know, they say, when in France, do what the French do. Um, just using France as an example, France has a strong what culture? What type of France has a strong something culture? Can anyone tell me? France is known for what? What about the culture in France is known internationally? Precious, do you know? Leb's fashion. Yes. Yes. Okay. Wine. That's the one I was looking for, Alyssa. Very good. Very good, Alyssa. Wine. Caleb, your character as well as fashion. Fashion, they are known because yes, fine French perfumes, fine French designers. Yes. Okay. So fashion and wine. Good. So that's social. That's social. That's the cultural things that the behaviors really that um, people engage in. So, okay, that's why I didn't completely go with your answer of fashion because it doesn't really affect behavior, but wine does. Consuming wine can affect your health status as well. So things that affect purchasing, things that affect behaviors, things that affect the social dynamic of a society. And the last one is T, which is technological. And technological, how does technology, changing technology or lack of technology affect you as a business? Now, just imagine for a moment you want to engage in in an entrepreneurial activity. Let's just say let's just say you want to. All right, so recently there was a natural gas find in Ottawa in Mayaro, and perhaps this natural gas find may be in a remote area of Ottawa in Mayaro on the Manzanilla side. Does it have access to technology? Would you be able to set up an office site that is able to communicate with the rest of the world and to be engaged in technology at that remote site? The answer is no. Another example of how technology can affect your business is cheese. Kavita R is saying cheese, yes, wine and cheese in France. Good. Yeah, a little later, not Kavita. Kavita R. Technological also speaks about one, the absence or presence of technology. Two, the quality of technology. Do you have good bandwidth? Do you have good cell phone service? Do you have access to internet? Um, we all know there's a country in particular that monitors and censors internet use. Can anyone name that country that monitors and censors internet use? Um, so technological could be that as well. The availability. China, correct, Kavita P, correct, Jahil. China, definitely. Yes, all right. Yes. China. North Korea, well, they monitor, they monitor everything. They monitor your phone calls, they monitor your internet use, if you're getting any internet use at all. So North Korea monitoring everything. They monitor any food you eat too, what you're allowed to buy, photographs you could take. Not, there's a nice YouTube video that someone did on being having a tour of North Korea. So you all could check it out on YouTube. Um, right. So technological meaning that is technology available, as I said about the Ottawa and the remote areas, what quality the technology is, and thirdly, has the technology become made you obsolete? Do you what did we use long ago to store information from a computer? Let me see if some of you guys can remember this. If we have some more senior folks in the class, they may know. What did we use to store information long ago? A floppy disk. Yes, Leandra. Teresa, you're in the dance. Yes, floppy disk. Wow, whoa. Like I think I may have said this before. That's why everybody jumping on floppy disk. Right. So it's floppy disk, and then it was CD, and then it was DVD, and then USB drive came on, and then you have micro SD cards. So good. So you all understand that technological has some different applications of it for it to be relevant in your pest analysis. So Precious, are we okay? Tell me, Precious, if I answered your question. Victoria Fort, right? Good to have you on. I understand. Thank you. Good. Victoria, do you know you actually scored full marks in your first in-course assessment in summer in the first one? Yeah. Very impressed. Good. All right. So there we go. Right. So we are now going to start on slide number 21, and we have just 4 or 5 slides to do, and then we'll start off with next lecture. Ways to become a business owner. Ways, yes, yeah, yeah, Victoria. Take a bow, take a bow. So, start a new business. Let's start a new business, and we can go all the way back to our initial set of slides, and we see on slide number 5 the which one is this? Which one would it be? Right, idealist, rewarded by the chance to work on something new and creative. By starting a new business, you get to develop and design it in your own way, your own creation. And guys, for your business plan submission, this way you'll be brainstorming all of this to develop and design something in your own way now. With that in mind, I want you to understand that a dream is just a dream if it cannot be put into action. So you can have an idea and it can be a nice, beautiful idea, but is the idea realistic? Can it be actually done? Does it satisfy a need that exists? All right. So you can have a nice, huge, cute building, modern building, but perhaps where it's located would not make any sense. Perhaps the amount of money you need to get that started simply would simply would just take years to recover that amount of money. The disadvantage of starting a new business is a long time to get off the ground, and that's what I just said. Long time to get off the ground. Usually, I'm saying usually, businesses take anywhere between 1 to 3 years to break even and then start generating a profit. we have had we have had some examples and instances where you can get yourself involved in a particular business activity and um, start breaking even earlier than a year. It all depends on the industry that you're in. It all depends on your ability to generate revenue and for you to scale your business as you grow. So, new business, develop and design your own way. Disadvantage, a long time to get off the ground. Next, we have buying an existing business. There's a shorter time frame, and there is an existing track record. And what's that existing track record called? What is existing track record called in business when you are looking at purchasing? Does anyone know? You are looking to buy this business. Let's just say everyone knows Gulf City, right? Yes, everyone should know Gulf City by now, right? For those of you who don't know, it's in San Fernando. It's one of the first large malls in Trinidad. So you are looking to buy Gulf City. Gulf City has an existing track record. What is that track record called? Come on, guys. Credit. Um, Credit in the sense of what, Jahil? What do you mean in the sense of what? Because it can be an acceptable answer if you look at the particular context in which you're saying. Thank you, Shakila. Shakila, you got it right. Reputation. It has an existing track record, and that reputation is also. There's another word I'm really looking for, but reputation is along those lines. Reputation is along those lines. What is it called? Kavita P, Samantha C, paid loans? No, 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 Jahil, no. If that's the context you're looking at, the answer is no. Not credit in terms of paid loans. So what you're saying is that you're buying a company with zero debt. Jahil, that's what you're saying. You're buying an organization with zero debt, and that's good. But that's not what we're talking about here. Alyssa, Victoria, Caleb, Teresa, Leandra. What do I mean by existing track record in when purchasing a business? Who's with us again here this morning? Kavita R. Precious. Katrina. When I say existing track record, financial Katrina, you were in my last class, so I see you mentioning financial statements, projected expenditure. No, guys, no, you're on the wrong track. Wrong track, wrong track. But you're getting there, you're getting there. So, Kavita P, past performance, good history, Gita, you're getting there, you all are getting there. Sales, profits, their profits. Not so much, Leandra. Customer base, Jahil, you all getting there. You all getting there. Yes, you all getting their achievements. Okay, yes, all of that is part of it. But it's one word. It's one word. Do you all need a hint? Do you all need a hint? Do you all need a hint? If I give this hint, all right. The word starts with G. I'm sure Kavita gonna get this. Kavita P gonna get this. No, no, Katrina, not audits. The word starts with G. The word I'm looking for is no, Caleb, not growth. No, not growth. Jahil, make a try again, boy. No, Kavita R, not gain. So it's not growth, it's not gain. Come on, push it, push it. Not goals. Gains and goals. This is no. Is it a two part? It's one word. It has two syllables, but it's one word. And it starts with G. And it ends with L. Starts with G and ends with L. And it's a two syllable word. But it's one word. Let me see. Biana, I just said it starts with G. It starts with G. Exactly. I don't know what's wrong with Biana. Biana, you're not listening. It starts with G. Nobody give up. Oh, that's with G. No. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, it's okay. All right, I'll give you all the answer. Goodwill. Remember this? An existing track record is goodwill. You buy something that's in a physical location. Yeah, Jahil. Something so simple, right? You buy something that's in a physical location that has been there for decades. Therefore, generations of people are going to recognize Teresa. Why not? Well, yeah, okay, good. And that's why Teresa, that's why we're in this course. So that you can be introduced to terms that you're not familiar with and that might seem simple enough, but it's all part of the jargon that exists in management and in entrepreneurship. So good. Happy to know that good. It's on the slides. Let me see. look at look at that. Goodwill is actually on the slides. You see? Goodwill is actually on the slides. I didn't even pay attention to that. Imagine that. You're busy there on YouTube and Google and trying to figure out what this is, and it's right there on the slide. Anyway, so generations of persons would know that there is a mall called Gulf City Mall that has everything in it that's nice, that has good parking, etc. When you're buying when Gulf Cities owners are selling, they are going to be selling infrastructure. They're going to be selling um, their tenants, because all of that will be part of the sale, and then they're going to be selling, getting a price for their goodwill. what it costs for them to be able to sorry what their worth is, what their worth is. That's goodwill. That's the um, increase in value as a result of being present for many years in a particular location and many years having a particular reputation. And I know some of you guys said achievement. That is what goodwill is. It's an intangible thing that you have to pay for when you're buying a business. All right. Um, Let me see if I could probably. Okay, so let's go for the break. And let's go for the break now, and then we will return to continue on slide number 22 and um, slide 22, and we have a few more slides, and then we'll do another lecture today. All right. So we'll take a break now. Oh, it's 9:05. All right. So see you at the other side of 9 o'clock.